which witness are you calling, sir?
I believe Michael Coffin, I believe.
All right, then.
I would also, I think the rule has probably already been invoked, but
it has, and I've already explained to them that what's going to happen. I was just trying to see who you're going to call first. That way, I can move the other witnesses into individual breakout rooms. I've already told them that. I've already told them that that's going to happen. At this time, I'll go ahead and tell them, please do not speak with anybody about this your testimony until released by the court. You can talk to the lawyers about it, anything that's said, but don't speak to anybody else individually until you are released from the court. And anyway, you'll be brought back in from the breakout room when it's your turn to testify. Obviously, you can do what you need to do while you're waiting, but make sure that when the pop-up comes or when you get moved in, be ready to come in and give your testimony. So at this time, Allen and Allums are the parties I have, the persons I have going into breakout rooms at this point. Is there anyone else that I need to move over to a breakout room that's a witness that I missed? Okay, don't think so. So, Mr. Coffin, you're going to remain in here. We're going to get you done.
And Ms. Gauze, Your Honor.
I'm sorry?
Ms. Gauze.
Okay, Ms. Gauze. Okay, sorry. You're muted. All right, got you. I'll move you all y'all in the individual breakout rooms. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Four guys assigned to room 6. And Allen assigned to room 8. All right, everybody's in an even number. All right, thank you, folks. And you should get a pop-up. Just go ahead and join those breakout rooms. And like I said, when it's your turn to testify, we'll bring you back in. I think that's it. All right, Mr. Coffin, sir, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm your testimony you're going to give this court today, sir, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir, you're officially under oath. I'm going to go ahead and let you, you're now a witness. If you don't understand the question that's being asked you, Mr. Coffin, please say, I don't understand. If you didn't hear the question asked to you, sir, make sure you just go ahead and say, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Please repeat. But anyway, we'll go ahead and get this started. And like I said, you got to be sure just to answer the question to the best of your ability, sir, and only answer the questions that's asked. Witnesses have a tendency to want to tell the whole story once they've asked the one question, but just answer the question and stop. And obviously, you're going to be there'll be cross-examination from the other attorneys in this matter. So at this time, Mr. Hutton, you may go ahead and proceed. And Mr. Coffin, please state your full name for the record, sir.
My full legal name is Michael Daniel Gardea. I do apologize as it appears Coffin. I guess that is just part of the email that I have attached to the Zoom account.
All right, good enough then. You may proceed at this time, Mr. Hutton. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. What relation do you have with Sarah Annandale?
We used to be considered as family, but it was nothing ever blood related or anything like that.
Have you had any interactions with her over the past year or so?
There was only one interaction a couple of months ago on a Thursday, late May. I cannot put a precise date on that.
And what happened approximately a couple months ago?
Approximately a couple of months ago is I had ran into her in the bar. We were at a bar here in Harker Heights, and I tried to say hello, kind of be kind and courteous, and it went straight as I don't respect you, I don't like you, etc. So I left it at that and kept to myself. Later that evening, she had pulled me aside and asked if we could talk about it, and I said, of course, most certainly, I want to hear her out. From there, the conversation got heated and very emotional about Stephen, and claiming that I knew all of these alleged things, which I did not. And the conversation only went from not only being verbal to getting to a physical, tugging on my beard and kind of slapping my face around is what essentially happened.
Did you eventually file a police report about that incident?
Yes, sir, I did.
Pass witness.
All right, I'll start with you, Ms. Bongat.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Swartz.
Just to be really clear, so was there any aggression from your side, or was it just words from your side? Does that make sense?
That does make sense. And no, ma'am, I did not have any aggression at all.
Okay. What was her demeanor when she was tugging on your beard?
It seemed as if it was out of frustration.
Okay. And have you seen her be volatile in the past?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So is this the first time you've seen her be violent with anybody?
Yes, actually it is. I have, that was kind of when that happened, it was a first for me.
Okay. And
Very surprising that it was, I've seen her, raise her voice and get frustrated, but never really go physical.
okay. And I guess what happened after that?
After that, I separated myself from the situation and went back inside.
Okay. And you haven't seen her since?
And ceased all further contact from there.
And are you close with Mr. Oberman?
Yes.
Okay. Have you seen their interactions before?
No, the past interactions I've seen with them together, do you mean?
Yes.
They've always been cordial and respectful of each other from what I have seen.
Okay. And have you seen them both with Theo? I guess at different times?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have any concerns about either of them as parents?
Not at all.
I'll pass witness.
All right. I got a quick question, Mr. Coffin. Are there any criminal charges pending at this time, or you don't know? You don't know one way or the other because it's only been a couple of months, and things like this sometimes take several weeks or months. So, do you know if there's anything pending as far as what the incident report you filed, sir?
No, sir. I chose to not have it investigated. I just wanted to have it as a paper trail, just in case, for whatever reason, I run into her again. And of course, I do want to avoid all that contact, but all I wanted was a paper trail. I did not ask for any or press any charges.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything on redirect, Mr. Hutton?
No, Your Honor, no further questions.
All right, maybe Mr. And Mr. Bongak, just to be on the safe side, now that you've heard everything, anything from any questions from the state?
No, Your Honor.
All right, anything else, Ms. Schwartz?
Can I just ask, hopefully I haven't missed it, but if there is a copy of the police report that I could look at, I realize that might not be admissible for the hearing today, but I'd love to see it if it's available. Otherwise, how long have you known the parties, Mr. Coffin?
I'd say about going on 3 years now.
Okay. And that's all for me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Again, and then Mr. Coffin, be excused, Mr. Hutton.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Coffin, free to go. Thanks for dropping in with us today. All right.
Thank you.
Take care, sir. Thank you for your testimony. And you can, sir, anytime you're released from, well, the only thing you can talk about is your testimony. If you want to talk to it about anybody, from anybody in this courtroom to Oprah, it's okay with me. Okay, thank you. But if you
Understood. Thank
but
you.
if you meet Oprah, tell him. Yeah, Mike says hi. All right, thank you.
Okay. And it's this little leave button right here on the bottom.
Yeah, they changed that around in the last month or so. So yes, there's a little leave button now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all.
It looks like a little door now, so well, whatever. Yeah, those graphic, you pay graphics people, they got to do something to earn that living. All right, at this time, Mr. Hutton, you wish to call Ms. Annandale, or you wish to call another witness?
I would call Miss Annandale.
All right, Ms. Annandale, I'm sorry, y'all all were sworn in before, but just for the sake of this hearing, I'll ask both you and Mr. Oberman to go ahead and raise your right hand, and I'll re-swear everyone. All right. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give this court today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Okay. Yes.
Yes, sir, I do.
All right. You're both officially under oath. You can put your hands down. And since I usually say in my oath today, that's why I went ahead and redid it. Thank you. All right. And Ms. Annandale, still state your name for the record again. Full name, please.
Sarah Megan Annandale.
All right, thank you very much. You may proceed, Mr. Hutton.
Do you have other children other than Theo?
One daughter,
And what's her name?
Adeline Charlotte Annandale.
And how old is she?
She's 6. She just turned 6 in January.
So approximately 6 years ago, did you have to get removed by military police with an argument with your then husband?
No. Not 6 years ago. No.
When was that?
My ex-husband assaulted me when my daughter was 6 months old. So not 6 years ago. My husband at the time assaulted me.
Did military police remove you?
Removed us both from the home to go speak to the police station.
And who had Adeline at that time?
We both did until after. I stayed longer to file a police report.
So what happened with Adeline at that time?
We took it to court, and we took it to regular court for the. I'm sorry, there was a strange noise. I guess it's storming. I stayed and I filed a police report. I didn't want my daughter in the police station, so she went with my ex-husband.
For how long?
We got divorced. All of that was ruled out. He was told by the court that what he did was domestic violence. We have a much better relationship. We have grown as people since then. I'm sorry, Your Honor, I can't hear you. I see you talking.
Sorry, ma'am. Don't get ahead of the question again. Just listen to the question, answer the question, and stop. Thank you.
When did you and Stephen split up?
When he officially left the home was in April of 2023.
And when was this case filed?
I filed for child support, I believe in April. I don't have the exact dates. I believe maybe Miss Victoria might have the actual dates since it's with the AOG. But I filed for child support, and then we tried to serve. And then he filed too. So
What's been the concerns in regards to visitation?
the conflict, there's a lot. At first, Stephen was not giving personal space. He came up right behind me in my car within arm length. It was very intimidating due to the past domestic violence he has done, along with, I don't know his mental state now. I just know what it was when we were together. So I don't feel comfortable with him being that close to me. I asked for more space. I asked for communication. We went to app close. There's been no communication with pickups and drop-offs. I don't know if it's his, he says it's both.
His go. Mr. Hutton, you be a little bit more precise with your questions.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't want to get into these long narratives.
There's a lot.
And that wasn't even really quite my question. So you
I
wanted
didn't think so. That's what I hate. So let's get some clarification. So that's why I say let's be a little bit more precise.
you had wanted to get back together with Mr. Oberman at the very least the beginning of 2023. I don't exactly know what month that may have changed, but somewhere around there.
Yes, when I was in Alaska, I thought it could be worked on, and I wanted.
Ma'am. The answer to that question is yes.
Yes.
Stop. All right, thank you. Don't explain, just answer. Thank you.
Between then, I mean, because you were in Alaska at the time, at the beginning of 2023, correct?
In April. Yes.
So what contact did you have with Mr. Oberman I guess, the beginning of 2023, like since you left for Alaska until this case started?
Very minimal over app close. Him harassing me through my family members.
All right. Again, man, stop. Listen to the question. Answer the question. Don't add to it. Just answer the question and stop. Thank you.
So what I guess I'm like, in between you wanting to get back together with him and this case filing, was there any incidents that occurred to give you concern?
Yes.
Like physically together with Mr. Oberman? Like when?
He was messaging me, threatening to come to my home.
Threatening?
After being told he was not welcome. I told him I didn't want him to come by my house. He goes, well, since you won't let me, I'm just going to come. And I said, you are not welcome. I will call the cops.
Okay.
I tried to get a restraining order.
Okay. So, okay. What I'm trying to get at is in between the beginning, let's say January, February 2023, you wanted to get back together with him, correct?
Yes.
How does it get from that point to I don't want you to see the child or you need to be supervised with a child if you aren't in a relationship anymore at that point and you aren't having contact?
I wanted to fix our family at the time. I went to counseling. I learned a lot of the things that were happening were extreme domestic violence in multiple forms. And I didn't want to go through that.
What is your concern if he has, I'm not talking about y'all's relationship, but what is your concern if he has contact with his son?
If he hasn't changed from the time our relationship
Okay,
ended.
here's the deal, ma'am. Now, this is the last time I'm telling you. Don't do anything with a prerequisite. Don't add to it. Don't try to explain it. Answer the question. That should be a 1-2. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. And then stop. All right? Send it. Yes, sir. So listen to the question. Think about it for a moment. And then answer it. And stop, ma'am. Thank you. You may proceed, Mr. Hutton. Repeat the question. Thank you.
Okay. I was going to ask you one bit. So what is the specific risks or safety concerns that you would see if he is, I guess, alone with Theo?
He is still drinking and throwing things, abusing our son, neglecting him.
I'm going to object if she's already testified she's not had contact with him. I don't know where she's saying she's seen this.
I didn't say I think that's my concerns.
Okay. But I guess that's what I'm asking is because you weren't concerned about that in January, February, correct? Of 2023.
The question is, ma'am, while y'all trying to get back together, that wasn't a major concern. Is that correct?
It was not.
And you didn't see him at all, like just you guys weren't together or you were in Alaska at the time. And then somehow you became very concerned to the point of need supervision just to be around his child. And I'm asking why that shift?
The way he was speaking to me and saying he was drunk instead of being sick. And
okay. So, and if he does have contact with Theo, okay, I guess again, what do you think will happen to Theo? What is your concern of the risks to the child?
I'm worried that Stephen Oberman will hurt our son the way he hurt me and speak to our son the way he spoke to me and alienate him from the family on this side.
And you developed all those concerns in a matter of a month or two of not having any contact with him.
Through counseling, yes.
Have you ever been violent yourself?
No,
You've never been physical with anybody?
no, sir.
What about the last witness that was just in here and testified that you were pulling his beard and slapping him?
He's been in my bar multiple times, drunk. I work in a bar. He comes to my bar and drinks.
Okay, were you physical with him?
No, I couldn't remove him. I couldn't kick him out.
So he was making all that up.
That did not happen in my bar.
All right, I'm sorry, ma'am. You were at the bar as a worker and not a patron?
Yes, I was working.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. I was thinking.
I work in a bar.
Okay, stop. Okay, I wasn't sure before because it sounded. I thought you were a patron instead of an employee. But go ahead now. Next question, then, Mr. Hutton. Thank you.
Okay. So at the beginning of this case, you were planning to move to Colorado, correct?
Yes.
Why is that?
I was going to get married.
Okay. And what happened with that?
There were conflicts, mainly this case that came in between that.
Okay. And when did y'all split?
About a month ago. Like officially called it off a month ago. We were having like when this ends, we'll sit there and we'll get married conversations, but we officially split a month ago.
And have you been with anybody else?
As can you try?
And let me be a little bit more specific too. Have you brought any other dating partners around Theo?
No.
And so are you currently dating anybody else?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So you haven't gotten like matching tattoos with anybody in particular recently?
I have my friend who's been supportive of me.
Who's that?
My friend Brandon.
What's his full name?
Brandon J. Borders.
What's the last name again, ma'am? I'm sorry. Borders?
Brandon, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And is he somebody that's been, I guess, brought to drop-offs and is around?
He is my friend. He was brought to a drop-off. Or pick-up in my case. I went pick-up, drop-off.
How long have you known him?
Over a year now.
And you're already close enough friends that you're getting matching tattoos.
Ma'am, that's a yes or no question.
Yes.
Thank you.
What do you think is in the best interest of Theo in terms of, I guess, visitation?
I have asked, and I think that supervised visitation until later on that has shown that Stephen is a safe, fit parent.
And what would he have to do to show that?
Whatever the court deems.
All right, okay, well, here's the
I'm
deal, man. The
asking-
law says, I'm sorry, let me explain something to you. The law says he is a safe and fit parent until I hear something that shows that that's different. The burden of proof falls on you why this man should not get at least the standard visitation package that any father in Bell County would get in a case, a family law case before his court. It's not, it's not he's got to prove it. You've got to prove it. All right, that's necessary. So with that in mind, weigh the questions that you're asked and then answer them. Thank you.
And so I understand that you would comply with whatever the court orders. However, I'm asking because you're the one saying that you're concerned about that. What does how would somebody prove that to you?
I would need longer to think about that question to make it fair. Not just for myself, but
Sure.
I would ask for some type of counseling and anger management program. Probably Alcoholics Anonymous type meetings. Because those are my concerns.
Okay. In regards to
Sorry, the dog.
how far apart are y'all? Like
I'm sorry?
physically, the distance. How far apart are y'all?
Me and Mr. Oberman.
Yes, sorry.
From what he said in court, he's around Wimberley area. I believe that's an hour and a half away. I haven't looked it up, so I don't.
Last witness. All right, I'll start with this, Ms. Swartz, on this one, this bug at it, and then let you wrap up the stuff that you need to have wrapped up. Your witness, Ms. Swartz. Thank you.
Ms. Annandale, when you're talking about Mr. Oberman saying that he was drunk or sick, are you talking about that one text message that was entered into evidence at the last part of this hearing?
One of the times, yes.
Okay,
It's happened, sorry,
so it has happened other times?
multiple.
Okay. Okay, and do you have any evidence, I guess, of any of your other concerns to show this court?
I do. I do believe I sent the video to you. I don't know how to screen share on Zoom like you guys do. Would it be all right if she presents that video?
What video are we talking about?
So, Your Honor, I don't know how you want to do this since it's Miss Annandale's evidence, but
I don't.
Well, I want to say, well, if you want to introduce it, I'll let you introduce it. You know, but later you have to lay the foundation.
right.
If you're gonna, no, she's not a lawyer. She's never going to get it right. It's forced getting the foundation for getting something like that in. But if you want to do it, fine. If not, I'll save it for the very end of the hearing, and she can try to get it in for herself if she wants to do it herself. I don't want to waste time with a layperson trying to get video evidence in.
That's what I'm thinking is I might do it even though I'm not sure.
All right. But the question is, what's the context of this video and when was it done? When did you do a video, Miss Annandale? This video that you just spoke of?
This video references and actually shows
Well, ma'am,
the violence.
again, ma'am, that's not my
Sorry.
question. When did this video take place?
September 22nd, 2022.
All right, and where was this video taken?
At our old home on Rancier in the trailer.
All right, and y'all were together at that time?
Yes, sir.
All right, and now what does this video report to show, ma'am?
It shows the damage that Stephen Oberman did to our mattress at the time, and it pans up to him saying, "And he'll cut me up too," threatening
So you say it's a video of him and of the actual surroundings of your residence after an incident, correct?
Yes,
And he's in the video also.
very clearly.
All right. Thank you. All right. You're still your witness, Ms. Swartz.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I share my screen?
Yes, you may.
Ow, he's cut up my bed.
Sorry, hang on. Um, and did you take this video? Do you recognize this screenshot? You're muted, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, that's the video that I took and I submitted to the court.
And is this has this video been altered in any way?
No,
Your Honor, I move to enter ad litem's exhibit
So I don't know what's gonna be. I mean, I don't know what's on the video yet. I guess is this just a video of? I mean, is it 3 seconds long? Like, it's not my client doing something.
It is 3 seconds long. Your client is in the video.
Well, no, I understand, but I mean,
It's not him doing something. He says something, but it's not. He is not, the damage to the mattress is done already, if that makes sense.
sure. I mean, I'm okay if it's just a video showing what he said, if that's what it's showing. But I don't know. I don't know how it would say anything about the mattress.
I understand. And I think that would go to her testimony, Your Honor, about whether or not what she wants to explain the context of it, but I'm fine just offering the video for what it is, not for the truth of the matter asserted of who did it to the mattress, if that makes sense.
All right. That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yep.
Based on that, Mr. Hutton, any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Bungat?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much. Play the video, please.
Ow, he's cut up my bed.
Okay.
And did you hear what he said?
No.
Go.
I know. Could you hear anything?
I heard her.
Okay.
And I heard him mumble something, but I couldn't. It wasn't something that was discernible. Or
I'll play it one more time and then I'll send it out to everyone so that, you know.
Ow, he's cut up my bed.
And
all right. Well, I'll save it and I'll run it through the Nakamichis later. Okay. There we go.
okay, yeah. And Miss Annandale, does he say cut you up when I'm done?
Ow, he's cut up my
Ah.
bed.
I don't know why I did that. Did he say cut you up when I'm done?
You're muted, Miss Annandale.
yes, ma'am.
Did he often make threats like that?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm not quite here. I'll check and see what exhibit I was on.
Well, I wrote that down as ad litem number 1 and the video. I wrote down as ad litem video number 1. So if you got something
Oh,
else.
perfect. Okay, great. I think it's my only video, so that works great for me.
Yeah.
Okay. And what had happened when you took that video, Miss Annandale?
That is when he came home drunk and angry. I don't know why he was angry. He was mad. I asked him then to go in the other room and he said he would sleep somewhere else. Or he wouldn't be sleeping anywhere else. He'd be sleeping in our bed.
Okay. And when did this happen?
September 27th, 2022.
Okay. And whose crib is that in the video?
That's videos. He was not present, thankfully.
Has Mr. Oberman ever done damage to your vehicle?
Yes.
When was that?
The same day I came out, or the same night, I didn't discover the damage till the next morning when I went out to my vehicle.
Okay. And what was the damage done?
He threw a trash can at my car and cracked the window.
Okay. And did you see him throw a trash can?
No, I did not.
How do you know it was a trash can?
The trash can was still laying on top of my car.
Okay. I will pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Bungay, your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Annandale, has there been any change to your son's health coverage?
Not to my knowledge.
And what is the current source?
To the state for CHIP is what it's called.
When was the last time you got confirmation of that coverage?
I'm gonna say a month and a half ago.
And what was the form of that confirmation?
He tried to schedule his appointment and I renewed my benefits for that.
And then, ma'am, as far as Mr. Oberman's testimony from our last hearing, do you recall much of that?
Not a lot of it, to be honest.
Okay, fair. And ma'am, as far as his observations of you with not only Theo, but your daughter, when would you say the last time he actually saw you with them was?
Two weeks before I left for Alaska.
And apologies, ma'am, for just harping back on it, but that was in or before April of 2023.
March, April.
And ma'am, were you ever made aware by Mr. Oberman of concerns he had about your parenting?
No, ma'am.
And has Child Protective Services or the Department of Family and Protective Services ever been involved with your family?
Only because of the bruise on Theo's cheek. When he came back with Mr. Oberman's.
Yes, ma'am. Prior to that, there hadn't been any at all?
Not to my knowledge. I was never contacted.
Okay. And then, ma'am, as far as the exchanges of messages that I believe were introduced into evidence, many of which were not just Ms. Schwartz's exhibits, but Mr. Hutton's, especially with regard to you saying something about getting these children or they're going to be in the bathtub, something to the effect of you threatening them. Do you recall that?
No. I do remember saying I was going to leave Theo in the crib, and take a minute.
And ma'am, do you recall sending those messages to Mr. Oberman or whoever the recipients were?
I don't.
And so, ma'am, have you said anything like that or expressed frustration in that manner to anybody else since your son was born?
No.
And then, ma'am, one of the questions I asked Mr. Oberman was about the support he was to have paid to you since the two of you stopped living together for Theo. Do you recall that?
About the support? He didn't give me any money, but he bought a few things for Theo one time.
Okay. But you and he didn't come to any agreements about what support from him would look like since you were no longer living together, correct?
I think we discussed it. I said it would probably end up being the Texas's minimum. And he told me no.
Was that before or after the child support case was already filed, do you know?
Beforehand.
And so, ma'am, would you say that just based on his income and no other children at that time would be a fair way to look at back or retroactive support from Mr. Oberman?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you aware of Mr. Oberman's earnings or what he was capable of doing for work?
While we were together, yes. Currently, no.
What
Besides
was
his
that?
He worked for My Movers at one point. He didn't really keep jobs very long. So he worked at a couple places. My Movers, Square Cow, parolee. He worked with his cousin Patrick as a repairman. And he worked at a tire shop out in Burnett.
Any idea what he earned at any of those places?
At Square Cow, he made at least $18 an hour, not including if the people took them and like, is it called per diem? Where they give you money for food or something like that.
And ma'am, how many hours was he working when they paid him the 18 an hour?
It would vary, but I also don't know how accurate it is. He would tell me he's at work and he'd be at a bar, so I don't have an accurate.
And do you recall the time frame, ma'am, that Square Cow was his employer?
I want to say when we first got together, and then later on, a second time before he got fired.
And ma'am, in what year did the two of you begin your relationship?
2019, I believe.
And then the second time period, can you tell whether Theo was already born?
We broke up a couple times beforehand. Theo was not born at the time he went back to Square Cow. He was pregnant.
And then, ma'am, as far as the state's concerns for financial support or your son's health or dental coverage, was there anything else you wanted to add?
I don't know.
Okay. And then, ma'am, previously, this court had heard testimony regarding your request for contact information not to be disclosed and ordered that the two of you remain in contact using app close. Was that your understanding?
Yes, I would like that still.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. You anticipated my question, which was, were you wanting that to continue in final orders if this court can grant such? Thank you, Your Honor. I pass this witness.
All right, Mr. Hutton, your witness again.
So in that video from, I believe it was September 2022, you said, are you claiming that you felt threatened?
I was threatened.
And your response was to pull out a camera and start recording him very obviously.
After he cut up the bed, I felt like it was in my best interest. Yes.
Did it occur to you to leave the environment at all?
I was trying to, I couldn't. He was in the middle of the room blocking the doorway.
I mean, it was only a 3-second video, but in the video you showed, he was just standing there with his hands in his pockets. But you're saying he was blocking the doorway.
If I had walked towards the door, I had previously tried that. In that video, it does show him in the middle of the room threatening me.
All right, ma'am, the question is could you exit that room without going past him? That's the thing.
No, I couldn't at that time.
But you also testified that he literally left the environment to, you're alleging, vandalize your car, correct?
He had probably done that on his way in. I didn't get to leave the room or leave the house until the next morning.
Okay. And believe these have already been admitted, but I mean, you didn't leave the relationship at that point, correct?
I was not working. No. Did not leave.
I wasn't asking if you were employed. I mean, I may get to that in a second, but I was asking, I mean, you still were wanting to be with him at that point, correct?
At that moment, no.
Okay, so I believe it would just be marked as Deceit. I believe it would be marked as petitioners 1. But and Your Honor, may I share my screen briefly?
Go right ahead.
Your Honor, I'm fairly sure this was admitted last time, but I guess I just want to double check. Well, I'll just do it again this time anyway. Can you see what I marked as petitioners exhibit 1, Ms. Annandale?
Yes, I can.
And is that a message that you sent in February that
Yes.
Okay. And that's
May I clarify?
No, that's not the way it works, ma'am. Listen to the question, answer the question, stop. And if you answer the question, so it's Mr. Hutton's opportunity to ask the next question. Thank you.
and so he's not. When did you leave for Alaska?
I can't recall the exact dates, but I believe it was in the middle of March for spring break.
So are you guys still living together this is, I guess, February 21st?
Yes, we were.
Okay. And it sounds like from what you're saying that he's not in the home currently and that you're wanting him to come back home, correct?
Yes, he was a bar.
But you're also saying that you are scared of him at that point in time?
At that moment that I sent the message, no.
Okay. And that changed again in between February 21st and April, May, or whenever this case was filed, correct?
Yes.
And pass the witness.
I'm sorry, you cracked up on me a little bit there, Mr.
Sorry, I just pass the witness. Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
It might be.
I got a thunderstorm going over, so if I get kicked out or lose this, I'll be back as soon as I can. But one of you people I made co-host will automatically assume the host. But anyway, all right then. Anything else on any other questions of this witness, Ms. Swartz?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Annandale, your testimony is that there are damages to 5 doors in the residence, right?
The ones you saw, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you heard Mr. Oberman's testimony that he was not, that was pre-existing damage, right?
He says that, yes, he said that.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Mungat.
No additional questions, Your Honor.
All right.
And let me just ask real quick, Your Honor.
All right, son.
Are you employed currently, Ms. Annandale?
Yes, sir.
How much do you make per month approximately?
Probably almost about 2,000, depending on what I am tipped.
But that's a relatively accurate average on a given month?
Yes.
And what was that amount again, ma'am? You cracked up on me.
Yes, that's an
Oh, wow.
accurate.
Oh, wow.
Can you hear me?
Can you say the number you said again, Miss Annandale? What number?
Around 2,000.
All right, thank you. That works. That came through clear. Thank you.
And no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Schwartz,
No other questions.
Ms. Mangat.
None, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Hood, next witness, please. Who's that?
I don't believe I have any other witnesses, Your Honor. So I guess I'd
All right,
rest and close.
All right, thank you very much, sir. All right, I'll go with you next, Ms. Schwartz. Do you have any witnesses present? Or are these Ms. Annandale's witnesses, or
These are Miss Annandale's witnesses, Your Honor. I am here to try and figure out the truth along with the court.
all right, and Ms. Annandale, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and we'll start with one of your witnesses, and then I'll probably have to make a break and then try to come back after the 1:30 is finished up. But anyway, who do you wish to call first, ma'am?
Miranda Allen.
All right, just a second. I'm going to go in personally and get Miss Allen out because that seems to be the way to do these stupid things these days. All right. And I'm going to try to move her out first. Let's see. See if that works. Yep, it did. Took a while. All right, Miss Allen is now in the courtroom. Miss Allen, please unmute yourself, ma'am. Still muted, ma'am. Yeah, there you go.
My name is Miranda Allen.
All right, then. All right, thank you, ma'am. Miss Allen, please raise your right hand. I'll swear you in. Miss Allen, do you solemnly swear or affirm your testimony you're going to give this court today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you?
Yes, sir.
All right, ma'am, you're officially under oath. And again, please state your full name for the record.
Miranda Allen.
And ma'am, what city do you live in, please?
Kempner.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Miss Annandale, this Miss Allen is your witness. You have to ask your witness questions just like you were an attorney, man, which means you cannot ask them leading questions. You've got to ask them a question and let them answer it. Whenever I have a pro se litigant ask questions, I always have them run it by me first. That way we can get things done a little quicker, and I'll let you know if that's a proper question, and then I'll let Miss Allen know she can answer it. So at this time, Miss Annandale, what is your first question of Miss Allen?
How long have you known each of the parties?
I've known Mr. Oberman for roughly 4 years, and you do about the same.
Okay, all right, thank you. You cracked up a little bit, Miss Allen, so you can go ahead and turn off your video. That helps with the bandwidth usually, so we just need to get the testimony. Thank you. So if you want to go ahead and stop your video. And Miss Annandale, if you're moving around, ma'am, you need to find a spot and not
I was
move around,
coughing
please.
and trying to grab a drink.
Okay, well.
I just
You can turn off your okay. You get a chance to turn that video off, Miss Allen.
Turn the video off.
Yes, ma'am. It'll help with the bandwidth
Okay.
and maybe any
Let
cracking up.
me figure out how to do that.
All
There.
right, there you go.
Better?
All right. That's better. All right, next question, Miss Annandale.
In what settings have you seen? That's not the right way to. Have any concerns of either of the parties' parenting skills?
Do I have
All
any
right,
concerns?
Miss Allen, Miss Allen, the question is, have you ever seen anything as far as either Mr. Oberman or Miss Annandale's parenting skills that would give you cause for concern? That's a better question. So
Yes, I have.
all right. All right, next question. Please elaborate, ma'am, on which party and what did you see? Or what did you observe?
for Mr. Overman, majority of the times that I have seen him with and without the child, he has been intoxicated on many occasions, as well as group settings that we have had at my home with my children. He never really did show much interest in being party to, I guess, caring for his son. Miss Annandale was generally the one who was constantly with their son.
All right, ma'am, I'm gonna, on how many different occasions have you been able to observe Mr. Oberman? More than 10, more than 20, less than 10? What are we talking about?
Roughly around 10 to 20 times.
Okay, then. And was that always in a social setting, ma'am?
Yes.
All right, then. All right, I'll let you proceed at this point then. All right, then. Anything else that you observed, Mr. Oberman, that you want to let the court know about as far as his interactions with his child?
With his child, no. With Miss Annandale, yes. While she was pregnant, as well as after their son was born, on many occasions, he was verbally, emotionally, and sometimes physically violent with her.
All right, here's the deal now. We're going to break it down. All right. What was the first occasion you ever observed of any type of physical violence? Let's start with that one.
Shortly after my now 3, soon to be 4-year-old daughter was born, we had a kind of group party here at my home. Mr. Oberman ended up
Okay, and can you give me some context when that took place? Fall of 23, spring of 22, what we're talking about?
Would have been, see, she was born in November. It would have been fall, winter of 2020.
Okay, and this was before the child in this case was born, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll go ahead and proceed. Thank you.
They came over for a party that was being thrown by my ex-fiance at the time. Mr. Oberman was supposed to have been the DD. They had a child, her other daughter, and he ended up becoming intoxicated to the point that he started being verbally aggressive towards Miss Annandale, as well as physically picked up a chair and threw it at her. And at that point is when I took my infant daughter, newborn, and went into my home and told my ex that this party was over, everyone needed to leave.
Okay. All right, ma'am. Any other, did anything else happen at that time as far as any further incidents toward any type of physical acts toward Miss Annandale that you observed on that particular incident, ma'am?
No.
All right. Next time, ma'am, again, give us what you saw and about the approximate dates.
Oh, there have been so many. Hold on one second.
All right, then. All right, then. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take over the witness like this, but ma'am, if you could give it a round number, on how many different occasions have you actually seen Mr. Oberman make a aggressive act or a physical act toward Miss Annandale?
More than a handful of times.
Okay. More than 5, less than 5?
10 times roughly.
Okay. And on all 10 of these times, was alcohol a factor?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Ms. Annandale, I'll let you take over your witness now. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for asking the questions.
Yeah.
And as far as my parenting, could you tell?
All right, ma'am, you cracked up on us.
Yeah.
This is not
I'm
been
sorry,
a good
I'm gonna
internet
put
day.
the phone closer to my.
No,
I'm gonna put the phone.
it's a bandwidth thing. It's the internet, and it's, like I said, we're having storms all over this place, so that's probably the problem. All right,
When I ask the
go ahead and
question-
repeat the question. I think your question was about your parenting skills and what Miss Allen has observed.
Yes, sir.
All right, okay, thank you, Miss Allen. Did you hear the question?
I did. I mean, as a parent and as a friend, I know that you are not a perfect parent, but I know that you do the best that you were able to do with what you're given.
Have you ever observed anything to Miss Annandale do anything inappropriate with either of her children that would give you cause for concern, ma'am?
No.
All right, Ms. Annandale, next question.
Do you have any concerns about Mr. Oberman's parenting?
All right, ma'am, that kind of requires an opinion, and she's not an expert witness, so she can't give that kind of thing. So I'm going to not allow that question, Ms. Allen. I know you have your opinion, but again, opinion testimony is not appropriate unless you've been proven up as an expert. So
Yes,
is there
sir.
any other questions you have, Ms. Annandale?
Based on what you've seen, do you have any concerns of either parent?
I think she's already
I'm gonna make the same
she's
objection.
already
Sorry,
answered that question, Ms. Annandale. So
I'm gonna pass the witness. I don't know how to ask questions.
I know, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
I've been
I don't want to frustrate you.
for 40 years, and I get it wrong sometimes. All right, I'll go with the ad litem, and then I'll save you for last on this one, Mr. Hutton. Thank you. So, Ms. Swartz, your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, you said you've seen about 10 incidents of physical violence. Is that right?
It's both. He is more verbal than he is physical when he's in public. There have been some occasions where it has become violent. And
Okay. Has he ever been abusive towards his son that you've seen?
that I've seen, he's not shown much interest in being in his life.
Okay, but you haven't seen any violence there.
No.
Okay. So how many of, I guess, the 10 times was Mr. Oberman physically violent?
Say 2 or 3 that I have physically seen.
Okay. So you've discussed the chair one. Can you give the next, when was the next most recent incident?
Oh, I don't know specific dates. I mean, it's kind of been spread over pretty much their entire relationship.
If you can estimate, can you estimate around when that was? That's still helpful.
Let me think. There was one occasion, I believe it was summer. It was one of my kids' birthday parties. There was a verbal altercation, and he kind of, I would say, like, gently shoved her away, but you could see and feel the aggression in the conversation that was happening. I want to say that was 2021, summer 2021.
Okay. And he was drinking at that time?
Not at that time. He was not drinking.
Oh, okay. So he was sober.
Yes, sir. Or yes, ma'am. Sorry.
It's okay. Okay. And then what was the other time? Because you said 3, correct?
Yeah. So I believe it was around 3. It would have been. It was one of the parties that they had at their house for the kids. I don't recall which birthday party it was, but there was a verbal altercation, and he kind of did the same thing where he, like, gently kind of pushed her out of the way so he could walk off.
Okay. So it was for him to leave the situation both times?
Sort of. It would start off as a verbal altercation. He would shove her, and then he would turn and he would say something, and then they'd go at it verbally again.
Okay. And the time that you mentioned with the throwing the chair, that was at y'all's house?
That was at my house, yes.
Okay. How many other people were present?
I would roughly say about 15 to 20 people. It was a motorcycle patching ceremony. So it was the entire club, as well as myself, my mother, my children.
Okay. And should we already get...
Ma'am, you said it was a patching ceremony?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, I got it. Thank you. You may proceed, Ms. Swartz. Thank you.
Thank you. How much had he been drinking? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know from what I physically saw, he was stumbling and slurring his words. I don't know if he drank prior to coming to my home. But when he was there, he had a pretty hefty amount.
Okay. And you said that he threw a chair. The
Yes.
way that he threw it, was it designed to intimidate or designed to connect?
Oh, it was designed to connect. It's a metal folding chair. He picked it up and he tossed it at her.
Okay. And
It
From-
just barely missed her.
okay. Okay. All right. I will pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Hutton, you're a witness. I can give you about 2 or 3 minutes, sir. We may need to preserve some of this, but may have to come back. But yeah, it's your witness, sir. Thank you.
Might be able to just get finished, but how many of those times that you referenced did you call the police?
I did not call for any of them.
I mean, were the police called in any of those times by other people that you saw?
To my knowledge, I don't believe anybody else called either.
No further questions.
All right, then, Ms. Annandale, anything on? I'm sorry, Ms. Bungat. This is not your type of witness, so I'm sorry, but you actually had the opportunity. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Judge. No questions for Ms. Allen.
All right, Ms. Annandale, anything on redirect, ma'am?
Could you tell us why you did not call the police in those instances?
At the time, I was staying at my mother's home. It was myself, my ex-fiance, and with his criminal background, I did not want to cause any more issues than already necessary. It was being handled by the group of club guys that were out there. They had separated and de-escalated the issue. And I removed my children from the situation. And that's when I told my ex that it was over. He needed to shut it down.
Annandale, next question. And ma'am, we only got time for about one more.
No further question.
All right. Anything on recross, Ms. Schwartz?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Hutton?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Bungat?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then, Ms. Annandale, is Ms. Allen free to go?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Allen, you're free to go, ma'am. Thank you very much for your input. You're free to stay, you're free to go, but I'm getting ready to have to shut this down for about an hour and go take care of another matter and then come back and wrap this one up. So everybody go grab some lunch, go grab some coffee, make it a good dark roast with extra caffeine like I've got going here, and I'll see everybody back hopefully by somewhere around 2:30. Ms. Schwartz, will you go into the breakout room and let the other parties know that they can do something for the next hour while the judge takes care of his other hearing, all right?
Yes, Your Honor, will do.
All right, thank y'all very much, and my apologies, but again, they had their hearing slot first, and I gave y'all this one to try to take care of everything. So, Ms. Bungat, at this time, I'm gonna go ahead and make you host, and I will be back and reclaim host once I get back. Thank you.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
All right, we're now back on the record on Bell County calls number 23 DFAM 340,870. Anyway, Ms. Annandale, you have two other witnesses left ready in the waiting room, ready to call. Who do you wish to call next, ma'am?
Miss Chris Gauze.
All right. All right, Ms. Gauze is now in the main room. Ms. Gauze, please unmute yourself and raise your right hand, please. Still muted. All right, thank you, ma'am. Ms. Gauze, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give this court today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth will help you, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
All right, ma'am, you're officially under oath, and I'll let you go ahead and put your hand down, and please state your full name for the record.
Susan Christina Gauze.
And ma'am, what city are you testifying from, or where do you live?
I live in Kempner, Texas.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am. At this time, Ms. Annandale, go ahead and this is your witness. Again, like last time, go ahead and run your question by. I'll see if it's appropriate and let Ms. Gauss know if it's okay to answer. Ms. Gauss, please just answer the question that's asked. Don't go to a full story about the reasoning why you're doing what you're saying. Just answer it. And if it's just a yes or no question, just answer it yes or no. Thank you. All right, Ms. Annandale.
How long have you known each of the parties?
Years. I've known you. I don't really know him that well, but I know him because of you.
That's nice.
It was several years.
Could you put an estimated date on the time frame? Like since which year?
I would say maybe 5.
5? And then how many times have you been around Mr. Oberman?
Not very often. Typically, if I went to one of the motorcycle events, he may or may not be there. He's been to the house a few times for an event, but not very much.
Would you say that's under 5 times or more than 5 times?
Probably right about, maybe a little over 5, not much more than that.
And during those instances, could you tell us what you have observed?
Let's talk about ma'am. Let's make it a little less general. Have you ever observed on those time frames where either Miss Annandale or Mr. Oberman were present, any actions that you found to be concerning, ma'am? Thank you. And so, which party was it, please? Thank you.
Okay. So, when the functions were not at my house, typically she was not there because she was with her children, from what I've been told. He was there drinking, having a good time with his club mates. And at my home, birthday parties and such for my grandchildren, she was always taking care of the child and then turned into the children. And
okay, all right, thank you, ma'am. Next question, Ms. Annandale.
Were there any behaviors? Sorry, I'm trying to. Were there any behaviors that had you concerned?
All right, let me start over.
Yeah,
ma'am, had you ever personally observed any behaviors of, and I'll start with Mr. Oberman, from Mr. Oberman on any occasion that you were in his presence that would give you cause for concern, ma'am?
There was probably one time. There was one time at my home for one of the birthday parties, or there was a function where he was a little bit aggressive. And because of that aggression, I took my grandchildren inside. And shortly after that, she joined with her child.
And by she, you mean Ms. Annandale?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Ms. Annandale? Next question.
Do you have any concerns or comments on my parenting that you have witnessed personally?
You're too nice to your children. No, you take very, very good care of your babies. You communicate well with them, from what I can observe. If something's wrong and they're throwing a temper tantrum, you speak to them, you find out what's wrong, and you try to remedy the situation.
I will pass the witness.
All right, I'll go with you, Ms. Schwartz, on this one. Thank you.
And are you Miss Annandale's mother?
Pardon?
How do you know Miss Annandale?
Through my daughter and through the motorcycle club.
Okay, so your daughter is a friend of Miss Annandale?
Correct.
Okay, and how long have you known Miss Annandale? Were you saying 4 years for Mr. Oberman or 4 years for Miss Annandale?
For Annandale. I know Oberman because of Miss Annandale.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any violence from either party?
I've not seen any violence from Ms. Annandale. As far as I've not witnessed physical violence from Mr. Oberman, but
Okay, he's gonna be
No,
testify anything someone told you, only what
Yes.
you actually observed
Yes.
or heard.
right.
So, and I mean, but you're an ear witness and not you actually may have heard something, but only what you were present for. Thank you.
Right.
Did you witness anything firsthand that gives you concerns about Mr. Oberman's parenting?
I didn't see him parent at all.
Okay. Did you ever see him threaten anyone?
No.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Hutton, you're a witness.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Mongak.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Annandale, anything else on redirect, ma'am?
No, ma'am. Or no, sir. Sorry.
That's what, no problem. All right, man, Ms. Goss, is Ms. Goss free to go?
Thank you.
No, I'm double checking. Is she free to go then, Ms. Annandale?
Yes, I'm sorry.
All right, ma'am, you're released as a witness. You can testify. You can talk about this case to anybody once you, if you want to, or you can just you can do what you like, and you're free to go, ma'am. Thank you very much for hanging around this time. I'm sorry that we had to take that other interruption, but sometimes the courts gets a little bit more than one thing on its plate at a time. So anyway, thank you, and you're excused.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Annandale, there's only one witness left, so I'll go ahead and send Ms. Allums in. Oh, there he is, being a little stubborn. All right, thank you very much, Ms. Allums. Can you hear us now?
I'm sorry, were you speaking to me?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, I was making sure you can hear us.
Oh, yes, I just didn't understand. I didn't know you were speaking to me. Yes, I can hear you. I can see you.
Okay. All right, ma'am, I'm going to go ahead and swear you in at this time. Please raise your right hand. All right, ma'am, do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you're going to give this court today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth will help you?
I do.
All right, ma'am, please state your full name for the record.
Hi, it's Carol Morgan Allums, Allums.
All right, ma'am, and which city are you testifying? Where are you? I'm sorry, what city do you live in? I'm sorry.
I'm in Kinnick, Alaska.
Oh, okay, you're the one in Alaska. All right, thank you.
Right.
All right, good, ma'am. I'm going to go ahead and let Ms. Annandale call you as a witness. I'm kind of observing her questions at first to make sure they're proper questions because she's not a lawyer. But please, if I interrupt, just stop and just please just listen to the question, answer the question. Don't try to explain why you're answering the way you are. Just answer the question as posed. And if it's a yes or no answer that's required, just say yes or no. And if we need elaboration, we will get it. So at this time, Ms. Annandale, you may proceed with the witness.
How long have you known each of the parties?
I'm sorry?
How long have you known each of the parties?
Okay, well, I've known you all of your life. And I've only known Stephen since he came into the picture, since you started dating him. And I met him when Theo was, I think, when he was a year old. No, it was before that. But anyway, I haven't known him that very long.
During the time of knowing Mr. Oberman, have you seen any behaviors or actions that would cause concern?
Well, I haven't been around him in person that much. What I have observed was that he wasn't around much. He tended to have places to go, other things to do. It concerned me that he wasn't very verbal. He seemed to be kind of standoffish. I never saw him any overt action.
Thank you, ma'am.
Has he been, oh,
Go ahead, Ms. Annandale, I'm sorry.
have you spoken to Mr. Oberman personally over messages or Facebook?
Yes, yes. Several times. I know there was, oh, well.
Wait for the answer next. Ask the next question, then, Ms.
In those exchanges, could you elaborate on the conversation?
Okay, well.
Wait, actually, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think I'm saying that correctly.
All right, ma'am, is there anything that, as far as electronic communications that you and Mr. Oberman had that would give you cause for concern about the mother or the child's safety or well-being? Let's put it that way.
Yes. Theo fell off the bed one time, and the mother called me and was crying.
Okay,
and upset.
Stop. Okay.
Okay.
I'm talking about communications you've had with Mr. Oberman, not with Ms. Annandale at this point. Okay.
Okay. I know. Okay.
And ma'am, don't be reading anything. Just as
okay. I'm just
that's recollection. Okay.
Okay. When I found out he wouldn't come home because Theo fell, I texted him and told him, please, to go home and check on his son. He texted me back and he said no, that Sarah was playing boy crying wolf.
Okay.
And I told him, I said, it doesn't matter, that's your child. You need to check and make sure he's okay. And so after that, then when he just kept talking about, no, I'm not going there. She does this every time I want to go out, blah, blah, blah. I just said, well, be careful going home, and just cut the conversation off.
Okay. Next question, Ms. Annandale.
Has he ever been verbally aggressive towards you through messages?
All right, ma'am. Has he ever done any messaging toward you that you took as any type of verbal threat or something that was over aggressive for the circumstance?
Well, he texted me one time and wanted to know if I was still alive, which I don't know where that came from.
But nothing as far as, I'm going to get you or somebody's going to get you or
no.
Or anything? Okay,
no.
Thank you. All right. Next question, Senator.
During March of 2023, I believe that's the accurate date. I don't remember the exact date. Did you buy tickets for Theo, Adeline, and myself to come visit you?
Yes.
And how long was that duration of the visit?
It turned out being a month. It was supposed to be shorter, but it turned out being a month.
And could you tell us why?
Why it was longer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Well,
I will object if it's speculating as to what.
Okay. Well, here's the deal. Actually, she's our own attorney. So, ma'am, you can testify to anything that Ms. Annandale told you and that you understood, or anything that Mr. Oberman told you. All right. But be precise about it, and don't speculate about anything else other than what you were told one way or the other, or you observed. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. I understand. Okay.
All right. Well, go ahead.
Okay. We bought her tickets to come up to our house so she could just have a little bit of time. And we were going to put her back on a plane a couple of weeks later. I didn't want her to go home, but she wanted to go home and fix up everything. So we took her out to dinner before taking her to the airport. And while we were at the restaurant, she had a conversation with him. And then she became really upset and said that she had found out he'd been cheating on her for a long time. And she was so upset. I said, you don't have to go right now. We can always schedule the flight later. So that's what we did.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. But you didn't have any direct conversations with Mr. Oberman at that time, correct, ma'am? Just with Ms. Annandale.
Right.
All right. Thank you. Next question, ma'am.
During the visit, Did you witness? I'm gonna have to have you rephrase it, Your Honor. During the visit, did you witness me trying to continue and there's a weird word for it.
Okay.
Continue contact.
All right, ma'am. All right, here's your ma'am. All right, I'm not sure if you're trying to say, ma'am, first off, Ms. Allums, did you ever observe Ms. Annandale trying to communicate with someone during your visit? And you actually see and hear what they were saying?
Did I actually see and hear? Yes. I saw her on the phone with him several times, and she would call him on video or she would just call him on voice. But I heard her myself tell him that we can fix this. We just have to try. We just have to try. And some of the times I heard responses, sometimes I didn't.
All right. Next question, Ms. Annandale.
So during the visit, you witnessed myself trying to keep a line of communication open with Mr. Oberman about the children and child Theo?
Yes, I did witness that. I do know, I do know that you regularly got contact with him. You sent pictures of Theo, and you sent pictures of Addie because they were very close. And you did. You just tried to keep the communication open. You wanted to fix it.
Next question.
So would you agree or not that there's an effort in co-parenting during that time?
No, there was not an effort in co-parenting. You made the effort. Mr. Oberman did not make an effort. And at that time, he was not providing any monetary support for his son.
And as far as my parenting, did you witness anything that would bring concerns?
The only concern I had was that you might go back to Texas and actually go back to him. But as far as your parenting skills, no, you had parenting skills, and you always put the kids first. You made sure that they had stuff to eat, clothing, all that stuff.
And could you let us know why? I'm just going to pass the witness. I don't think that's going to come out to be a good question. I would like to pass the witness. Sorry.
All right, I'll go with Ms. Swartz again on this one. Ms. Swartz, your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Allums, so you met Mr. Oberman in person?
Yes, I've met him in person.
How many times have you had contact in person with him?
3, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see anything, any of those times that caused concern for you?
Just that he in general seemed very standoffish and not very verbal. That sort of thing.
Okay. But you never saw them fighting except for the phone calls you've described, which...
Oh, yes. I saw them fighting over these phone calls. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you hear either of them say anything concerning?
I'm really having to think.
And if you don't remember, it's okay to just say.
I remember. The thing is
Sure.
A lot of the phone calls they had were nothing but arguments. She was begging. She was sitting there crying, begging him, why did you walk out? Because he walked out and she didn't know where he was. Okay. She had no money. He left her nothing, no food, nothing, which was why she was at my house. So all of these phone calls, she was trying to beg him to please, let's just fix this. This is your child. Can you at least do this? Can you at least do that? And he was like, no, I don't want him. He told her to stay up here until she got over him.
Okay, okay. Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Hutton.
What was the dates as specific as you remember it? I guess that she was there. It was like March of 23 until when?
She was here at our house?
Correct.
Yes, it was, gosh, I have it. Well, he doesn't want me reading, but I had printed out where we bought the ticket. And it wasn't.
I'll tell you what, I'll let you go ahead and use that to remind you, ma'am. That'll be perfect. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, because I printed out where we bought them. I actually had printed out a lot of places where we had sent her hundreds of dollars worth of money just to buy food, clothing for the kids, pay bills.
Right now, just that question, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. I'm trying so hard not to just.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
everybody's got a whole story they want to tell, but the lawyers only let you tell little bits and pieces. So go right.
I know.
Go ahead and get
I know. You only want the facts.
If you can.
Okay. Where did the ticket go? Oh, I can't seem to find it, but I remember it was like 674. Oh, is that it, Tim? My husband handed it to me. Yes, that was on. I actually bought the ticket on February 26th.
And when did she get there and when did she leave, ma'am?
I'm thinking she left the very next day.
She left on the 27th?
I think.
Is that coming to you or leaving? I'm sorry.
See, I don't have that in front of me because once you complete your trip, the airline wipes it out of there and you can't go back and look and see what day
it
occurred.
Did she leave Alaska on the 27th of February, you said?
Approximately.
Okay. And she was there about a month.
I'm sorry?
She's there about a month.
How long
She
was
stayed
there?
about a month.
Okay.
She stayed about a month.
Okay, thank you.
She got there probably a little late January.
Okay. Your bandwidth is low. Can you say that again?
Sorry about that. So she got there, to the best of your recollection, somewhere mid to late January.
No. February. I bought the ticket February 26th.
Okay, so she was there about a month. When did she arrive and when did she leave?
Okay. I bought the ticket. I think that's when it said I bought. Let's see, $5.94. Anyway, I bought the ticket. I'm not sure the exact dates. There's no way I can just.
Yeah, that's fine. I understand. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Bongat.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Allums, you testified that you've known Ms. Annandale her entire life.
Yes.
How are you related?
I'm her grandmother.
And which of her parents are you related to?
Her mother.
Thank you, ma'am. And during Theo's lifetime, how often has she come to you, or has Ms. Annandale taken him to your home?
Just the once.
And ma'am, you mentioned that Ms. Annandale was the person making the efforts to communicate with Mr. Oberman.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any time that you witnessed her getting a call or other communication from Mr. Oberman?
No. Oh, no, that's not right. I'm sorry. I know that when we took her out to dinner before she was supposed to get on the plane, he called her. I couldn't testify factually about him calling her because that just has not stuck with me if he did. I remember her calling him.
And then, ma'am, as far as the times you've seen Mr. Oberman in person, in what state did that occur?
Texas.
What was the time frame for your visit to Texas?
You mean how long was I there?
Do you recall the time of year and year itself? Again, trying to figure out.
I was there in the summer.
Of what year?
Oh, good grief.
And you can say by your great-grandson's age if that helps, or great-granddaughter.
Well, my great grandson just turned 2. Okay, so obviously, now I saw him when he was little, not too long after he was born. And I remember this quite well because it was during the whole COVID thing. And I got COVID while I was there and couldn't be around him.
Okay. And when you came out to visit Ms. Allums, were you in the home that they may have shared at that point or a hotel?
I was in their home.
And during that visit, ma'am, was there anything that stuck out to you as far as the family's dynamics?
I just need a moment here. Sometimes they seem to get along okay, but it seemed like there was always this push-pull thing, like she had to really ask him about doing something, but then other times he would propose something like he wanted to take me to dinner. Okay. So that was, he initiated that. Most of the time she initiated things. I did see that that Adeline, her daughter, was very attached to him. He just wasn't verbal. And she had gone to some lengths to fix like a dad corner for him in the bedroom. So if the baby woke up, he'd have everything he needed if he got up. They never seemed like a cohesive couple, honestly.
And ma'am, earlier you mentioned a number of times that you had helped Ms. Annandale out financially.
Yes.
Since your great-grandchildren were born, are you aware of how long Ms. Annandale was actually employed?
No.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
All right, Ms. Annandale, you're a witness. Any other questions on redirect, ma'am?
No, sir.
All right. Real quick, before anybody else gets started, Ms. Allums, you said that the mom had set up a corner for him to take care of the baby while you were there and diapers and all that kind of thing?
Right.
All right. How often did you see him do something, go to that corner, take care of the baby, do that sort of thing for his son?
I didn't see him do that because I got there. I didn't spend my whole visit in Texas at their house. I have other children there. So, but the time I was there was like the first day and a half, 2 days. It was in the bedroom. If he got up at night, I didn't know about it. I was asleep. Okay. After that, I got sick and I couldn't be in there.
And had to leave. Okay, got it. All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Swartz.
Ma'am, when you were there, did you see him doing much of the child rearing?
No.
Okay. Who met the children's needs from what you saw?
Sarah.
Okay. And did you notice any damage to the house at all?
She showed me where he had done damage to the house.
Okay.
And I believe it was a door.
How many doors do you remember?
I only remember one. She did also send me a video showing where he had done other things.
I'm going to object.
Okay.
To lack of personal knowledge.
Okay. Well, not that I have to approve, but.
To your knowledge, do you remember the other doors being intact?
I don't remember.
Okay, so you don't remember either way.
Just wait. Just pause for a second. I just magically became the host. Yeah, exactly. The judge may be disconnected.
Gotcha. Thank you. I was just trying to figure out.
Sorry,
it disappeared.
I just.
You back, Your Honor?
That was all on me. That was my. The storms have moved out now, but yet I lose everything. So, all right. Sorry about that, Ms. Allums.
That's okay.
Ms. Swartz had just asked you a question, and it's still recording. So at least Zoom still is up and running. Go ahead.
So, ma'am, you don't remember whether any of the other doors were intact or not. Is that fair to say?
Correct. I don't remember.
Okay, so it's not that, right. So you remember that one wasn't
One was. He damaged one. Yes. Okay. I remember her showing me one, but I don't remember any others.
Okay. And you didn't see either of them damaging property or getting into a fight while you were there. Is that fair to say?
No.
Okay. There was the push and pull, but that wasn't really fighting.
Right. It was more of a emotional push-pull thing.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Hutton.
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Mongat?
Your Honor.
All right, then, Ms. Annandale, anything else, ma'am?
No, sir.
Okay, may Ms. Allums be excused?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, thank you very much, Ms. Allums. Hopefully y'all don't get to be 100 and we don't get to be 60 down here today, so we'll see. But you're free to go, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, the weather's just kind of messed up. Here we go. Anyway. All right, then, that's everybody that's in the breakout room. Ms. Annandale, is there any other witnesses you wish to, I got to ask you, like, any other witnesses you wish to call, ma'am?
No, sir.
All right, then. All right, this time I'll go down the list. Again, I don't have the whole order here. Ms. Swartz, is there anyone else you wish to call at this time, ma'am?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Hutton?
There was one person who was trying to get in, but I don't see him trying. It may just not have been able to get in. So, assuming there's nobody that I was going to say, assuming that you can't see anybody else waiting to get in, then it's nothing urgent or anything.
Are you still a co-host?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you would be able to see them too. So yeah, so they're not there.
Then no, Your Honor.
All right, how about you, Ms. Bongat?
No, Your Honor.
All right, let's get some closing statements. And okay, I'm sorry. I need to ask each party: have either of you, if this was divorce, y'all would have to go ahead and take a parenting online class or something along those lines. Have you ever done that? Have you ever taken an online parenting class, ma'am?
Yes, I have.
All right, when's the last time you did it?
The one that you ordered us to do, I believe it was back in September. You ordered us to do one.
All right, then. And you completed that?
Yes.
How about you, Mr. Oberman?
I wasn't aware that we were ordered to do one in September.
Okay, I'll have to go back and look at that. That's a docket sheet from a galaxy far, far away and a long time ago. Okay, and I just misquoted Star Wars, and so everybody on the internet's going to be really ticked at me for that. So anyway, but yes, sir, I was going to order if I didn't, it's going to be ordered going forward, obviously. But I just want to see if it has already been done. So at this time, I'll go ahead and I'll listen to closing statements and closing arguments. And so I'm going to start with, I'm going to start with the ad litem. Then I'm going to go to Mr. Hutton and then to the state. And then if there's anything Ms. Annandale needs to make as a closing statement, she can. So I'll start with you, the ad litem, and that way everybody can feed off what you do, Ms. Swartz. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. So disappointingly in this case, I didn't have much evidence to make my report and to form a basis for my opinion. So what I did have definitely showed that the parents are not co-parenting well, they don't communicate well, that there's a lot of animosity there. But I never got any police reports. I never got any of that kind of information to inform my opinion. The court has heard a lot from both parents, and one of my biggest concerns that I definitely tried to highlight was that parts of the stories are directly in conflict with each other. The issue with the doors, where the father is saying that the doors were like that when they moved in, and the mother is saying she saw him damage the doors. The concern that I have is that that's more than a mere mistake. That is, someone is not being truthful. And so I'm definitely struggling on this case because, I've heard a lot of things. We've heard a lot of witnesses saying that only the other is violent. And it, have a lot of concerns. I wish that I'd seen more evidence. I wish that I'd seen more things that I could look to, because it seems like for the most part, their relationship was just very toxic. And for example, in the video that I showed the court that I entered, I have concerns about that video and the words that were said, but also they could have just been words. It sounds like there were a lot of words flung from both sides. So I'm very concerned. I guess for my part, I would really like these parents to co-parent better. I want them to use App Close. I want Theo to have a good relationship with both parents. It sounds like the CPS case was ruled out. So I think that Mr. Oberman should have standard visitation at this time based on the evidence and everything I've seen. Miss Annandale is the primary caretaker and was even when they were together. And I would ask that she remain the primary caretaker in this case. When I visited both homes, I didn't particularly have concerns about either of the homes. It's just that these people need to learn to get along. My other big issue, I guess, is that I think they kind of need to leave each other alone. At the exchanges, there's been some issues, and I think it's okay. Either of them can pick whoever to go to the exchange, and I think they just need to give each other space and learn how to be pleasant to each other in front of Theo and just let that part of their lives go. So I don't know that that's something that this court can order necessarily, but I want them to hear me say that I'm concerned for Theo's future if things continue this way. I'm concerned for what he's going to be seeing during the exchanges, because the fact of the matter is he's not that little anymore already. He's already picking up on the animosity between the people doing the exchanges, and there have been issues at every exchange. And I'm saying that from both sides. I think I don't know exactly what's happening, but from what I'm hearing, there's something from both sides. I'm not there. No one sent me, videos of exchanges or things. And I'm not saying necessarily that anybody should make them, but just from what I'm heard, I'm very concerned about what Theo is getting. And I like to remind parents as well that when you reject the other parent, you're rejecting part of who the child is. So the child is, oh, did we lose Victoria? Yeah.
Okay, we lost Ms. Bunga. Let's give her a second to come back in.
Sure.
We're having fun today.
Right, I know it. All kinds of issues. Rain must have reached her.
There she is.
Can I just point out that there's a witness?
No, stop. No, sir. You have an attorney. Your attorney will make your statements for you, sir. Please. Lawyers don't want their clients ever saying anything in a closing argument. That could be the kiss of death. So yes, and I'm not talking literally. I'm not talking figuratively. I'm talking literally. Okay. Thank you.
So,
all right, Ms. Bongat's back in, and you may proceed with your closing, Ms. Swartz. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. What I like to tell people is that your child is a third the mom, a third the dad, a third themselves. They come out with their own personality. When you are insulting the other parent, you are insulting a third of who they are. So I really, really encourage both of you, for the sake of your son, who is part of each of you, which again, he didn't choose, y'all chose that. I ask you to treat each other with respect. You don't have to like each other, but the exchanges have to go better. He needs to see that it's okay to be nice to people even when you're not in a relationship anymore. And I can promise you, he is already absorbing what he's seeing. And I have seen a lot of conflict just in the conversations that I've been sent. So I'm asking that you both cut each other some slack, try to be respectful toward each other, leave the relationship in the past and focus on Theo. And I'm sorry, I'll get off my soapbox there, but my recommendation is that Miss Annandale keep primary and Mr. Oberman have standard possession, and that everybody speaks only through App Close, and that everybody tries more to get along.
Any type of geo restriction requested?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm asking that both be restricted I believe, are they both in Bell County? They're not. So I'm just asking that Miss Annandale have a restriction unless Mr. Oberman leaves the area where she could meet with him for exchanges, which I know that right now the exchanges are at the police department. Let me see exactly where he is.
I believe he's like San Marcos area.
Okay. So I think just I guess keeping it to those two counties or surrounding counties.
I usually just make it Texas at that point, and the central time zone of Texas. Nobody gets to move to El Paso.
There we go. Texas is so big. That's always my concern with that. So I think, yeah, I think that would be a good restriction to make sure that nobody just leaves.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. All right. Anything? And now I'm sorry. Let's go. And I forgot which order I said. Everybody. I think I said you next, Mr. Hutton. And then Ms. Bongat, and then Ms. Annandale. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would certainly agree that their relationship sounds like it's probably good for everybody that ended. I haven't really heard anything that would get us away from legal presumptions to joint managing conservatorship and one parent being primary, the other parent having standard visitation. And obviously, my client would like to be primary. Again, for better or for worse, throughout this case, he's not had really the opportunity to be the primary parent. So I can understand that may be a tough sell just from that reason alone. He obviously has some concerns, some of the messages sent about her instability and things like that. I mean, they both have concerns about each other, but I think at bare minimum, as sort of the ad litem said, I think standard visitation should be what we're looking at. I think that potentially some mutual injunctions about alcohol use, I think, might be warranted. I've certainly heard that being a common denominator in most of the stories from both sides in terms of when violence and things like that is in the picture. So I think that could be warranted on both ends. I think that, just guideline child support, again, whichever direction that the court rules in terms of who's primary. I would share the ad litem's concern about, if things don't get better, but at the same time, I think some of the problems just happened because of a situation where, this case happened very quickly after the relationship ended, going from like in March, April, wanting to, get back together and have a family. And again, to be clear, no danger noted at that time. And then months later being in court, emotions are very high at that point, and then it kind of goes down a certain track. I think one of our concerns, we had a lot of concerns at the time, but I think at the time the plan was to move to Colorado, and that's, I think, what moved some of the stuff along rather quickly, is that we were sort of being forced to make a decision because that was on the horizon. That no longer being the case, I think it's much easier to do a sort of standard visitation type of arrangement, or potentially some. I think that makes sense in this situation. I think that if there is a designated drop off, like exchange point, I think that a state of Texas or central time zone in the state of Texas could work. I guess I'm thinking that there is still quite a distance, like the very top of the panhandle. That's still like a 10-hour drive. But as long as it's either a halfway transportation or a sort of a designated location, I think somewhere in Travis County is going to be between them at the moment. I think that could probably be set. I don't have a whole lot of concern about it at the moment, but given that we're talking about Colorado and Alaska and things like that, those would be the main concerns. Is that I think that would make it impossible to have a relationship in either of those things. Neither one of the parents, I think, has the finances needed to be taking plane flights back and forth, and I think that would make sense. So, I'm not it's like you already basically ordered it. I don't recall September very well either, unfortunately, as to what it was already ordered. But certainly, I think co-parenting classes or the online course. I know the one that's being referred to. Different counties sometimes have different ones, but I think that does make sense. And for everything to kind of be on app close. My hope is that this is one of those types of cases where after the legal case ends and nobody's trying to gather. My hope is that the relationship becomes a bit more cordial after the litigation is done in this case, and that sometimes is the case, and that's my hope moving forward. But Again, I don't think there's any evidence to overcome any of the presumptions for joint managing and standard. And I think we're just here arguing who should be the primary. My client would like to be the primary, but in the alternative, we would like standard visitation. So, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bungay.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state is asking that this court order the parents to have appropriate health and dental coverage for the child, Theo. Testimony from today and prior hearings was that Ms. Annandale has government medical for the child. I believe today's testimony was CHIP. And if that's the court's order, Your Honor, the state would ask for $5 as cash medical support from Mr. Oberman, which would be quite a decrease from the further temporary order. The state takes no position on the conservatorship or possession and access, and will defer to Ms. Schwartz on those issues. It appears parents are in agreement about not wanting each other to have physical addresses, phone numbers, etc., based on their history. And so the state would ask that will be in continued order of the court, so long as parties are ordered to communicate through app close, and that be the main way. I know some of our orders, Your Honor, have said things like, if parties agree. I'm not sure, especially as recently as the parties have separated, that agreeing to something else, it'll be another he said, she said. So if app close is the main and court mandated way of communication, perhaps in the future there'll be, well, no contested litigation or easier evidence based on what the court has ordered. As far as current support, Your Honor, the state has calculated it based on Mr. Oberman having the one other child and his income. I believe that's what he testified to at the last hearing. If the court does, in fact, switch primary conservatorship, I can certainly get the mother's as well, based on her testimony of roughly $2,000 per month and having the one other child older than Theo. As far as retroactive support, Your Honor, I believe we've had testimony as to what it should be. And so the state will defer to what the court finds appropriate in terms of calculation and time frame, since parents are saying their relationship and living together ended in, by April of 23, and we did start our temporary order in the fall of that year. And then, Your Honor, I believe that's it, except for court costs, which we'd like a ruling on.
All right, first off, I'm going to waive court costs on both parties. I'm looking at joint managing conservators. And Ms. Annandale, I told you I'll give you a closing statement, but I don't need one, ma'am. And I'm going to get Mom to write this out down. So I'm going to have to tweak this one a little bit. And Mr. Vongat, the child support amount, now that we're going to, and Ms. Annandale, the child is currently on CHIPS or Medicaid?
Medicaid. Sorry, I didn't know if they were the same. I can't.
Okay, no, they're not. so
sorry.
The cash medical amount, the prior cash medical amount will be the if that's based on what the income, the current income is. That's going to be the income going forward. Yeah, CHIPS is a different program altogether, and I was getting ready to have Mr. Bongat reevaluate what the child support should be based on the fact that I'm lowering that cash medical down to 5, but I'm not. I'm going to keep the same one the old one as is, and it sounds like the current child support as is. But I still want to, the other thing I want to say starting from day one, yeah, everybody's going to use app close going forward. That's it. No, y'all can, if y'all want to talk to each other by phone or text, that's fine. But anything dealing with this case, no, it's not fine. Everybody's going to go through app close going forward. That way out. If you want to do the FaceTime, you want to do the texting, you want to do the voice messaging, use app close. All right. No, don't do anything else differently. But the other thing is I need to go ahead and tweak this a little bit. I need to look back over a couple of things to see how I want to handle it. I need to look at the retro thing one more time. So what I'll do is, Ms. Schwartz, are you here any day this week on my other dockets?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here on Thursday.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and just reset this for a ruling, and nobody else has to show up. But Ms. Schwartz is going to be here, so she can tell you what I rule going forward. But I need a chance to go back over some notes here and set up a ruling. And of course, there's going to be an alcohol restriction against both. Well, as far as when the Mr. Overman, I'm going to make that against you, ma'am. It's kind of hard. I don't like making alcohol restrictions. It's legal. The judge loves a great Cabernet and a couple other great things, but we won't go there as far as scotch and everything else is concerned. But it's legal. But Mr. Oberman, the one witness I heard today here, I've heard a lot of good witnesses, but the one who carried the most weight with me is your brother motorcyclist, who said that they've had to ride with you on the outside of you to make sure you got home okay. That scared the daylights out of me, sir, because they recognize that, and to get somebody in a motorcycle club to say that about another member, yeah. So right now, I'm hoping that you're well on the road to recovery, and that's not a problem anymore. But yeah, that one was not good, sir. That one was not good at all, because motorcycle guys don't say that against each other, okay? Unless they're really, really concerned about somebody, and that concern was necessary. It was necessary. So, sir, on your visitation for right now, you're going to be looking at that alcohol restriction, and I may have to figure out something for mom too. But I've never, as far as doing the custodial parent, I've never had to set something up like that before, and I might have to tweak yours a little bit more. But I want to give it a little space going forward. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and set everything else back on the regular Thursday docket for me to make a ruling, and let me go over all my notes and look at the old order, because again, this one's been going on a while. I've heard a lot of information, and Mr. Hutton, I may tweak that geo restriction to St. Marcos. You say you're in St. Marcos, is that correct, Mr. Oberman?
Yes, sir.
So I might do it within 100 to 125 miles radius of Belton, Texas, as that general area. And that'll get you all the way to Fort Worth, Dallas, not quite to Houston, but it'll get you to San Antonio too. So, and obviously if Miss Annandale comes back with a legitimate reason why she needs to move, then obviously either me or the district judge will come up. Well, we'll see whether or not that's appropriate. But for right now, I'm probably looking at doing that 125 instead of doing the whole state of Texas, and that way it makes it easier. And the midpoint between here and St. Marcos, probably Round Rock if I miss my guess on it. So off the top of my head, because my four grandkids are in Kyle, so I kind of know what, and that's only about another 10 miles to St. Marcos. So yeah, I know that halfway point. But anyway, I'll figure all that out, tweak it all out, and make that final ruling as far as you guys on this coming Thursday. And Ms. Schwartz can give y'all that information. I'll have it on the record. And I'll even let her have a video recording, the audio recording of that if necessary. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Hutton. Is there any, again, without knowing the full ruling, is there anything else specifically you want me to put in that ruling when I do this on this coming Thursday? I'll make on this coming Thursday. Anything specific you want to have in there, sir, just to cover yourself and your client?
I mean, it's kind of to tell because I don't know what you're specifically ruling, I suppose. But I think you've mostly gone over the topics that I would say. Yeah, I think you've mostly gone over the topics that I would like to have in mind. I guess I think that'll probably cover it.
Okay.
So no.
All right then, Ms. Annandale, is there anything specifically, ma'am, you want to tell the court at this point? Anything you want me to specifically rule on, ma'am?
I would like to keep the non-disclosure. I am asking for retroactive, like they stated.
That's already in there. And I am keeping the non-disclosure, and y'all.
I do think the geographical restriction.
I'm sorry.
I do think the geographical restriction for either parent would be unfair because we do have family in other places. Can there be something about visiting family, because I know he has family elsewhere? If
y'all want to go to Paris, you got the money to do it when you have the child.
Yeah, we have to.
Geo restriction is only for residents, ma'am.
Okay, I wanted to be sure on that.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, you can go to the last visit great grandmom. You can take the child.
Yeah, his family's in the UK, so I don't think. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess those restrictions, the alcohol one that works really well for me. It's my major concern because that is the majority.
Anything additional that I didn't already say that I was looking at doing?
Could we have a a clause in it to where if the parents agree on switching weekends, so if he's not being able to be present during his weekend, where we could agree to switch
notification
it to
clause in
one.
there, ma'am, that he, anytime Mr. Overman's going to, I'm going to give him the visitation. And Mr. Hutton, is your client asking for the 1 weekend a month because he's right at, he's not, I don't think he's quite, he might be right at 100 miles, but he's not right. I mean, he's close to about as 100 miles you can get, okay? So
I would imagine he's probably going to prefer the first, third, and fifth, but I will talk to him about which election I guess he wants to make on that. I can see it going either way. I think it'll depend a little bit on his work schedule, what he prefers, but I'll go over those things with him.
And if he chooses, though, I'm still going to order him to let her know at least 72 hours in advance by app close that he's going to come to pick up the child. Okay. So
sure, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. All right then. All right, Ms. Bungat. Well, I know what you asked for already, so that you did that in your closing statement. So anyway, folks, reset to this coming Thursday, 9:00 docket. I'll wait. I'll make sure Ms. Swartz is in there. I do have a couple of things, Ms. Swartz, but hopefully, I think the first thing starts at 10, and I'm usually through with the 9:00 docket by 9:30, 9:45. So I'll be able to take this one up right away and make the ruling. Okay.
And I just want to be clear that you're not wanting or expecting anybody else other than Ms. Schwartz to be there to hear the ruling.
And the only reason I'm expecting her to be there because she's already got to be there. So yeah, no one really has to show up. But I always like to have somebody else say, "Oh, this is what he said," and here's a copy of the audio. So yeah.
And I'll do that, and I'll email it to you, Tim.
The audio won't be ready till after I shut down the Zoom for that day, but I'll get it out to you ASAP, Ms. Swartz. I'm sorry, Belinda will get it out to you ASAP. Because right now, according to e-file in the state of Texas, I don't exist anymore because they shut down my account without telling me about it. So I got a ton of paperwork to sign that I can't sign. So we'll see how that works out. So hopefully they're not trying to give me a hint about my job status. Okay.
E-file's been crazy lately. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Anyway, thank y'all all very much, Ms. Allums. I hope you. Thank you for being here, and be safe up there. Like I said, this is just a weird world we live in these days. So I'll just tell everybody: be safe, raise those kids and grandkids and great grandkids the best of your abilities. That's all any of us can do, and pray for the best. All right. So. All right, everybody's free to go, and we're off the record. And I'll be back on the record briefly on Thursday morning, and somewhere probably between 9:30 and 10 o'clock. Thank you.
3 days later.
All right, this time the court's going to go ahead and call Bell County Calls number 23 DFAM 340-870. This is in the interest of Oberman minor child, non-custodial party being Stephen Oberman, custodial party being Sarah Annandale. Anyway, this matter is before the court on the original petition in suit affecting parent-child relationship with AOP. The court will note for the record that the state and the ad litem are present. The court had a hearing and reset this matter had several hearings, but reset this matter for ruling today. And my understanding is I don't think there was any problems with the, I was thinking of the name of the party's joint management conservators. I'll give mom the right to decide domicile. That right is currently restricted to the state of Texas Central Time Zone and until further order of the court. I didn't think there was any disagreements as far as what the guideline child support and health insurance and dental insurance is. Is that correct, Ms. Bungat?
Correct, Your Honor. There was no dispute.
All right, then. All right, and so I'm leaving that as per the final, just per the prior temporary orders, or as the state recalls the agreements to be as far as that, if there was something done specifically at the last hearing. I know the big one here was dealing with visitation and the circumstances surrounding the parties, and the fact that the child in this case is still well under the age of 3, will not be 3 until July of 2025. Is that correct, Ms. Swartz?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so I'm looking, like I said, I'm named the joint MC. Mom's got the right to decide domicile. I'm going to set up the visitation with the father, and I've got so many of these cases running in my head together. This is the gentleman that's living down about 80, 90 miles away, correct?
Yes, sir. He's San Marcos and she's Colleen.
Right. So I was going to give him a visitation on the first and third Saturdays of each month, first and third weekends of each month, I'm going to go ahead and start out with 3 break-in visits where mom and or designated agents are there on those first 3 break-in visits from noon to 5 o'clock. Dad gets to do 3 of those, and then after that, Dad gets to do 3 more where he actually picks the child up for 4 hours on the first, third, fifth, on the first and third Saturdays of the month. After that, Dad moves to weekend visits with the child, starting at 10 a.m. on Saturday and going to 6 p.m. on the following Sunday. And that's going to be Dad's visitation package going forward. I'll look at the Christmas holiday thing coming up and try to figure something out. I didn't do that before. I didn't think about that until I came back in this morning. But again, that's why I want his standard visitation to be until the child reaches the age of 3. Once the child reaches the age of 3 and the father has completed at least 6 weekend visits as per the court order, then he moves to standard visitation at that point. Except for the summer of 25, he gets what did I write down here? Let's place it that fast. It's the Saturday. He picks the child up the Saturday before the 4th of July and returns the child the Sunday after the 4th of July. And okay, I got those dates here. Here they are. He picks the child up at on June the 30th at 12 noon and returns the child the Sunday of July the 7th at 6 p.m. So he gets 9 days in there for summer visitation. Then after that, then it's the standard long distance visitation package going forward. I will get back with y'all on how I might want to look at the Christmas holiday coming up, or whether or not this is Dad's Thanksgiving or Mom's Thanksgiving. But I'm probably only looking at Christmas until further order, and I'll let you know what that is, because that may be that Saturday after Christmas may be his, and I may do that for that Saturday this year. But going forward after that, he has standard visitation. He's also ordered not to drink any type of intoxicant at least 24 hours in advance of picking the child up or while he has the child. You can let mom know if he shows up and he appears to not have been doing some type of intoxicant drinking. In this case, she obviously has the absolute right to protect her child, and she can call the police if she thinks it's necessary. But again, be sure to tell her, don't do this just to be just to try to keep Dad from being obstructive. I'm sorry. So again, it has to be legitimate. And obviously, when most people have been drinking, you can tell. And by the testimony in this case, everyone can tell when this gentleman's been drinking. And obviously, she's not allowed to do that. And if he wants to wait around for the police to show up and do a field sobriety test, then fine. But if he leaves, then obviously, yeah, that's kind of a moot point. But anyway, that's a lot of rambling, folks. Again, because I remember what I ruled, but I just didn't. The docket sheet is missing. I got 2 over here. So, and I'll at this time, if there's any court cost involved, I'm going to order that the father pay the court cost. He has until the 31st day of July of 2025 to make that payment, if billed. So, Ms. Bongat, is there anything else specifically I need to rule on? And let me go ahead and look at Christmas again right quick.
Yes, Your Honor. One of the issues that wasn't resolved was retroactive support. What amount, if any, the court was going to order since the parties separated in, before April of 2023 until the temporary order started. Second was non-disclosure if the court was continuing that for both parties while app close remained their main form of communication.
The non-disclosure is still there. App close is definitely ordered going forward. And is the state done a calculation on what the time frame? I know we got Dad's taxes and his information. I see that's all already in evidence. Did you do a calculation on what the retroactive child support would be for the time frame if they weren't together?
Yes, Your Honor. Pulling that up now.
Because obviously I'm gonna order the retroactive amount. I didn't and I don't see anything in my original notes here about credit for monies received. So
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Oberman testified to having done very little, if any, and mother didn't recall any either.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was, okay, Your Honor. So I had it as current child support during the retroactive period should have been $562.31 per month. And if that was starting in April until, well, actually, Your Honor, it was right at a year. Or I apologize. I had it. So 11 months at that rate.
All right, then. So that's going to come in about a little bit over 6,000, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So I'll do the judgment amount, and I'll order and do that, and I'll order repayment on the retroactive with child support. That's 30 plus 50, so at $80 extra a month. All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right then. And right now, it looks like that Christmas holiday, he gets the weekend before Christmas. So I'll just leave that as the standard visitation, and won't worry about the Christmas and other holidays until the child is over the age of 3. Okay. All right. Anything else, Ms. Mongai?
And Your Honor, so giving Mr. Oberman the supervised was as a result of the CPS investigation and the gap that he had based on us stopping his visitation?
Correct. So he only has to do 6 visits until he gets to his weekend visits. Like I say, 3 with mom present, then 3 with him hanging around the local area. Obviously, he's not going to be able to drive back to St. Marcus and back and see the. Well, he can do it in 4 hours. He'll be on the whole time on the highway. So, but he does 3 at that level where he has to remain in. And you can go ahead and put it there. He has to remain in Bell County for his visits, for those 3 visits. But after that, we move him to his full weekend.
And then, Your Honor, previously you had parties meeting in front of the Harker Heights Police Department. I believe you'd said something about changing it just for a halfway point between the two. Maybe Ms. Schwartz remembers more. Okay, well, I was looking at that, but based on the notes, and I went back over my notes, she's always lived here. She hasn't moved. He's the one that moved, so I'm going to still make the exchange at the Harker Heights PD. Yes, Your Honor. So his mom lives in Bell County. That's the exchange point. Thank you, Judge.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right.